So Facebook on Tuesday said that they're banning all accounts from its platforms, remove Facebook pages, groups, Instagram accounts representing QAnon. And I'm not too hip actually to what QAnon is. I know a little bit, but I never looked into it exactly too much. But I just wanted to get a quick definition of what they are. So pretty much, it refers to a conspiracy theory which has now turned into pretty much a group of people. And the conspiracy theory started a few years ago, saying that there's like a group of elite Democrat pedophiles who want to, I don't know, kill Trump.
No, no,
Yeah,
but
that's the
no.
first line on Wikipedia. On Wikipedia, actually, let me read you what Wikipedia says who they are.
All right.
Wikipedia says that QAnon is a far-right conspiracy theory alleging that a group of Satan-worshipping pedophiles running a global child sex trafficking ring is plotting against Donald Trump, and he's battling them, and that Trump is planning a day of reckoning known as the storm. And I think from this, it has just morphed into this, seems like pro-Trump, extreme
And
far-right
there
group,
is,
right? So do you want to add anything to
I,
that?
there is a crucial aspect that there is somebody within the deep state or within the intelligence services that is pro-Trump and leaks like like there's all these coded messages being leaked to online forums or through Trump making gestures or something. So I think that's another key aspect of the conspiracy, that there is somebody from within that is sending signals to these groups or people or whatever. And yeah, that
Yeah.
seems to
And
be
some
the
famous
conspiracy.
examples that I can think of, they're related to Pizzagate.
I think
Um,
that it sort of evolved from that.
yeah,
So it's
so that and a bunch of other things. Okay, but let's just get right into this story and we'll just give our take on it because we told you what it's about. I personally, in the past, when there were talks of Facebook banning X and Y and having to be more tough and all that, I've even when they banned Alex Jones, I can't remember exactly what was the reason, but I remember at that time I wasn't too comfortable with the reasoning. But here in this case, and I want to hear what you have to say, is that I kind of side on them, and because this group and everything that's associated with it, it violates all the normal boundaries that we have for free speech. So they incite violence. There is they pretty much say things that aren't true. So libel and defamation. So these are all things that are not within the normal boundary of free speech. So I think it makes sense for Facebook to also not allow anything associated with this group to be available on across their platforms. So that's kind of where I fall on this. What do you think?
no, I completely disagree, to be honest, because I think if they do incite violence, that's a criminal offense, and that should obviously police should take action. And that's no difference from me going to a street and taking a loudspeaker and inciting violence. In both
Which they
cases,
do.
the
The group
same
is
act.
very much associated with that.
Sure, sure. And but many Christian groups incite violence. Many extremist Mormon groups incite violence. That doesn't mean we should ban all Mormons from having their own forms. That's first. That's first of all. So, like you said, they say. I mean, sorry, and I laughed. You said they say things that aren't true. Well, I'm sorry, but who doesn't? To be honest, especially online. Well, CNN
Yes,
doesn't, or
but no, a
MSNBC,
public.
or
Well,
Joe Biden, or
I mean, those true. However, I would push back on CNN and other news outlets saying things that aren't true. They often what they say is true. It's just that it's so incomplete that it's misleading. I would categorize more what's said on mainstream media as being misleading and not being pure false statements.
no, I'm sorry, but the Syrian conflict was one they've made. I mean, they've made claims they couldn't back up at that time, and later on turn out to be false. So falsehoods basically. So I don't see any difference there.
But those, I
And
mean, just because they get
and
away with it, doesn't, I don't think necessarily means that it that it
No, no,
makes it
but
okay, because publishing
well,
false statements is against the law. Saying something that is false is
which
technically
law?
against the law. I mean, it is. You can go to,
American?
you can bring that to court. Yes, in America and other places. I know apparently in the UK they're very stringent
No,
about
no,
that.
making false statements to authorities, to court is against the law. Not with, otherwise,
No,
like
if
every
someone
time you tell your child Santa Claus is real, you're making criminal
no, because
federal
you're not.
offense.
No, because you're not. It's not towards a person. You're not ruining
No, you're
X
yes.
person's reputation.
Wait,
So
wait.
if I go
No,
around
you
and spreading lies
lie.
about you, for instance, you
No, no,
could very much um, get a verdict on your side of court.
yes, you're talking about libel and defamation.
Yeah.
Those are, again, those are, we have current laws that allows for people to go and if somebody tell, if Trump, for example, Trump, by the way, Bill Maher made fun of Trump for his parents being a monkey or something, and then Trump sued him for libel, or I forget which one. Libel, one of them is the written form, one of them is a spoken form of, but that's different. That's yeah, you can take to the court. And by the way, in the US, if you do take that to the court, you usually lose because freedom of speech usually trumps that. In UK, it's different. In UK, they have some hate speech laws and stuff. So if, I mean, put the laws aside, I don't really care about the laws that much. If we believe in freedom of speech, and who decides by what is a falsehood? And when I'm not talking about libel and defamation of, for example, me saying Einstein was a idiot, he wasn't a genius. That, I'm not talking about that, but talking about talking about, oh, Trump is planning a day, that a day of reckoning, right? Who, I mean, who decides that's a falsehood
No,
or that
that's fine. Yeah, that part is fine. But all the things associated with Pizzagate, for instance.
what? Yeah, exactly. So, by the way, I mean, these conspiracy theories, they don't come out of nowhere. When Hillary's emails were leaked, his campaign manager, I forget his name, he they I mean, I don't think, by the way, they are, this is a, they control the world or anything, but they have ceremonies that these weird people usually have, with, they are actually, they do ceremonies about Satan. And there was this famous artist that asked for his sperm to use in a performance art. I think it's more hippie bullshit, to be honest. I don't think it's a conspiracy, but these conspiracies are rooted in some, real, tangible shit. So again,
But what about the
who,
violence? Do you think based on the violence? Because
no, of
this group
course,
incites a lot of violence. And you compared it to bigger religions, to religions and bigger groups. But those groups, they can maybe say, like, they're not purely associated with X or Y. But this one seems to be quite clear cut to me.
I, I, I don't know if they do incite violence. I think there should be criminal charges. They should be, whoever does that. But I don't think you should put a blanket like ban on QAnon groups. If I, and what's the point anyway? It just pushes it underground, and then it gets worse. It gets, oh, now they're
That,
victimized.
that's
Now
interesting
they're
with
marked.
the efficiency, but of how effective such a thing would be.
Oh, it won't be at all. It just gives them another excuse to call themselves victims and martyrs. To
But
be
at the same time, if they are, encouraging violence and all this,
no,
Facebook
again,
also
but
can.
that's a different thing, though. That's again incitement of violence, libel, and defamation. You can take legal actions. I'm not. This is an extra step. This is like saying climate change. People who talk about climate change because there is a group. There are green terrorists. There are, that type of people who go and destroy factories. So because of that, we should ban all climate change. People who talk about climate change.
No, I mean, groups, I mean, and here we're not talking about, for instance, banning all far right groups, but those specific groups could be targeted and banned. But I mean,
No, no, no.
I know this goes against
These are
what I've
racist.
argued for before, but just because this group seems to be so associated with things that can potentially turn easily into very dangerous and have really harmful impact on the ground, that's why I think that in people's lives, and I mean, some of these with some of their conspiracy theories.
I think individuals should be held responsible for the actions they do. But when you start doing like banning ideologies or what, I think to be honest, it's better if everything is out in the open. Even racists who I abhor more than other groups personally, I think they should be allowed to have Facebook groups or whatever. At least we can see them that way. You know, we can see them coming. So, whatever. But yeah, again though, I this is I just don't like to be a straw man here. Incitement of violence, libel, and defamation, they are all already illegal, and I agree with the illegality of those, right? But not
Yeah.
with
So that's kind of my argument is that most of the groups and most of the things associated, it seems like with QAnon, fall easily within those. Now, if somebody's going to pursue them legally or not, that's not really Facebook's
Facebook's
place.
problem.
Yeah, but
Yeah, exactly.
that's why with this one,
It's kind
this
of
one I kind of side with them. I mean, I'm also still I'm not 100% sure, and I really wanted to hear what you're saying, and I take your what you're saying. But out of all the previous quote unquote high profile cases, this is the one where I see the most legitimate reason for taking such actions.
to be honest, I think it's part of a trend that is not helpful. That, oh, let's make corporations socially responsible,
Yeah. I mean, don't
or
get me started
or
on that.
or Facebook is responsible for hate. No, corporation is there, and I'm actually on the side of corporations here. They are there to make money. Government is the one who should be regulating, and
one Hundred
so
percent.
go to police and say, why don't you take actions? Don't go to Facebook and ban people from,
No,
because
100% couldn't agree more. And that's why, once again, we shouldn't like blame the existence of this group and all of that on social media and Facebook, which is it's clearly not true.